What is going on, YouTube? It is your dog's favorite YouTuber, and today I'm bringing you a support tier list for Season 9. Now, I know it's a way too early tier list, but, you know, I've got a feeling for some things. I've tried a couple of gods. Some of them feel really good. Some of them feel not good. And so, yeah, we're just going to throw them into a tier list to give you guys a little kind of like semi-prediction and then my feel on how I think the early meta is going to kind of shape up to be. But before we get into that, let me introduce you to my first partnership, Gamer Subs. It's a healthy gamer drink without all the filler that all the other energy drinks have, and my discount code is Inbowned. It is available right now, and it allows free shipping, and they also give out free samples, so with that, you can try it. My favorite flavor is Dragon Fruit Punch. And my girlfriend also says it smells better. I don't know what that entirely means, but she says it smells better. So there you go. Now to the video. Starting off with Serb. I think Serb is not feeling great ever since they kind of changed how his protection shred was. Or not changed it, they nerfed it. It used to be like 60 or something magical protections, and now it's like 35 at full rank. And it feels very bad. I feel like they kind of killed him in support with that. And because of that, I'm actually going to put him in the lowest tier of C. Following that up with another horrible god, Kumbhakarna, also a C tier god. He's just fallen behind. He's just not up to par with a lot of the other Guardians. He needs something, needs maybe a minor rework, maybe just a couple big buffs. One of the biggest picks at Worlds last year, Fenrir. And I think Fenrir is one of the best supports in the game right now. They are trying so hard to get Fenrir out of support and into the jungle, and he just comes back stronger every time. So I think he is SS, very dominant. Next up, Guan, another just not great character. The cooldown buff on his 3 made him feel a little bit better, but it's just too easy to interrupt his Taolu assault in the lane. He doesn't really provide that hard CC you kind of need on a lower cooldown. He's kind of reliant on his ult for his CC. Otherwise that, he's got a slow, a heal, prot shred. So his kit's not that bad, but it is definitely on the lower end of supports. Next up, Yamir, a very average to above average god. His kit actually is so incredible, but the problem with Yamir is if your team is not ready to fight at all times whenever you get gone on, you can get picked off and easily one shot, especially with all this damage in Season 9. Season 9 is seeming to shape up into a burst meta. Even tanks are going to be kind of doing a lot of damage from solo lane. So positioning is going to be all the more important. And Ymir, positioning was important even before. It's going to be even more important now. Next up, Nox. I think Nox is a good support. The problem comes in 2 waves. One, mage supports have very bad builds. They're kind of ability reliant. They have to spam abilities, and you can't really do that in support at most times. And then 2, there's really no good item to start with in mage supports. If you start with a Thebes, you're lacking cooldown, you're lacking a little bit of power to be scary, no MP5. If you go into like a Chronos Pendant, you'll have no prots. Binding gives you no health and no cooldown. There's just no item that really fits that mage support niche. If I were to play a mage support right now, I think I'd probably just go the Binding. It gives you a little bit of MP5 to spam abilities, some protection, some power, and then a little bit of pen. The problem is you kind of almost feel like a mid laner where you're just not that tanky. But I think it is the one item that kind of makes them feel a little bit better. Mulan, another B tier god, kind of reliant on winning the laning phase. If she gets out of the laning phase ahead, she can kind of wreak havoc, but she's very easy to gank, very easy to kill, like Ymir. It's kind of kill or be killed, and Mulan doesn't have the utility that Ymir has outside of just having high damage. Ganesh, another A tier god. I guess he was overrated a little bit towards the end of last year. I thought we were going to see a good amount of Ganesh, and he kind of disappeared at Worlds. I don't know if we got a single Ganesh game, but I still think he's a fine character. He has good counter matchups. The problem is once people figure out how to play against him, he gets worse and worse. Still an A tier god. I have not been impressed with Athena like at all. I think Athena is in a pretty weak spot right now where her kit just doesn't have what you need from a support. She's got a little bit of CC, the global ultimate, and then she has a little bit of damage. And I just don't think that cuts it in the current Season 9, what you need out of your supports. Therefore, I'm going to put her in B. Her builds aren't that bad right now. Maybe with the breastplate item, it'll feel a little bit better, but there it is, Athena. Next up, Ares, another A tier god. Has the same problem as Ymir, kind of, where if he's out of position, easy to catch out. He is, though, I think in a very good spot where you can not get punished pre-level 2 pretty easily and then hit level 3 as Ares and win a 2v2 pretty easily. Keep in mind, Ares is an early game god, yes, but it's not a level 1, level 2 early game. It's a level 3 early game. So hit level 3 with Ares and then fight. Hercules, we'll throw him in B. I think he's in a pretty bad spot right now. Not too great. His builds don't feel all that great either. He kind of is forced into Blink, and I think Blink right now is kind of on the lower end of relics. It's another thing that keeps Ares from being like as dominant as he could be. 140-second cooldown, very short blink radius. We'll keep Hercules in B. I don't think he has much possibility for going up. I think he is going to be kind of stuck in B until there's some more meta changes. Kuzobo, another character that I think is a little bit underrated right now. I think he's actually a very hard carry support. You get ahead on this character and it feels like you cannot die because of his passive, and then his base damage is kind of through the roof with cooldown resets on his 2. His disruption is also pretty insane. His laning phase is not too shabby. He's got good kill potential in the 2v2. Overall, just a pretty good character. Sobek, kind of like a Kuzobo, but just worse. He's kind of a hard carry god, but his damage comes out a little bit slower. His CC is a bit more weird. He can't really follow up off his own abilities, but he's still a fine character. It provides a little bit of kill potential in the laning phase, mitigates a lot of laning phase. You can't really punish a Sobek, and then in the late game, he's just a really nice tank to have on your team. Depending on how the mid game comes with supports, you might not see these semi-tanky supports because they might just be too squishy with these flat pen mage builds. OP mages. Next up, Geb, another A-tier god. I've never been a big Geb lover. I don't think he's as special and as good as other people say. I think he's more of a ranked pick. Because of that, I'd maybe put him in S, but he's just not as good as people think. And I think with his current nerf that he just got, he's going to go down kind of like that A tier, and I think people are going to not pick him as much. It's more of a frustration factor, I think, too, where people just see what's going to be more noticeable to you. Somebody gets out 1 health because they get Geb shielded, or you're anti-healed by Sobek 3. He's just got something really easy to tell what's happening. Cabrakan, another one where I think he's just not great right now with Blink. Blink is kind of Cabrakan's relic that he wants, and he's just not great right now. Therefore, he has to opt into like a horrific or a med or maybe like a sprint or something. He also doesn't feel like he's doing as much damage or as tanky as he should be, and I think that's one of the problems with him. So I'm going to put him in B. Khepri, I think Khepri is our first S tier god. Overall, just his passive is incredible. The lockdown he has is super nice. His 2 is incredible. His ult is incredible. The only problem with him is no CC immunity, a not great laning phase, and then just weird play from behind because you can't really frontline and your abilities don't feel as impactful. But still S tier god, very good. Thulu, we'll toss him in C. He's just not really a support, but I think he's better than some other characters. Xingchen, another one. I think he's in the same kind of area as Sobek, that depending on the middle game, if supports are getting one shot, you might not see him as much. His laning phase is also a lot weaker than Sobek's, but his late game is slightly better. And I think right now, early game supports are going to be a bit more favored. Erlong, going to toss him in C. I just don't think you want to play Erlong as a carry support. He is way too reliant on getting ahead, and he's way too easy to kill even when he gets ahead. So we'll put him in C. I think Odin is a little underrated as a support. I think his kit just provides a lot right now. He's got good lockdown, good survivability, decent utility. He's got like that Fafnir kind of run to an objective and kill it with his 3. I think if you haven't played Odin in a while, give him a try. He is very fun. Obviously, spamming shields as Odin and being unkillable is awesome. Baron, I'm not going to rate Baron. I think Baron's pretty bad right now. Going to toss Hades down. Other ones. Serket, another SS tier god. I just think those 2 assassins are just insane right now. Their builds are great. Everything about them is great. They're very hard to kill. Very easy to get kills with because of their base damage. We're going to put those 2 both in SS. They both kind of ran worlds too, to be honest. I think Horse is going to be my under the radar pick. I think his damage is very, very crazy, and it's surprising. And I don't think people are going to be ready for that. I think his ult is still not great. His passive is kind of whatever, but his base abilities are pretty incredible, and I think you might be able to see some Horus games. Eset, I'm going to put her in B. She's just very easy to counter. She is very, very good into some comps, and she's very, very hard to deal with in those comps. But if you don't play Eset into a comp that is bad into you, she will not feel great, and you'll feel like you're just kind of getting killed. RDO, we're going to throw RDO in B also. Just more of a solo laner right now. Not great in support. Kind of needs tankiness, needs health, needs cooldown, needs to be ahead, and doesn't really get that from support. Bacchus, we're going to throw Bacchus in S tier. I think this is going to be the perfect meta for Bacchus. Bacchus loves when there's options for relics. He loves when he can just kind of farm through the early game and get level 5, sometimes even kill in the laning phase, which he can do in a lot of comps. And then he just scales very well into the mid and late game. He's also started picking up a little bit of steam towards the end of last year, and I think now he's going to kind of reach that peak and become like that S tier god. Another S tier character, Terra. A lot of utility, a lot of damage, a lot of peel. Very safe In the laning phase, very good in the team fight. Really no weaknesses other than she's not good into cripples and no CC immunity, but she's still an incredible god, and you should know how to play Terra as a support. Sylvanas, another one that I think is just a great god. I haven't played him actually this season yet, but I don't see how he would fall off as hard as some of the other characters. I think healing is still going to be incredible. He provides a lot of protections towards his teammates. And if mages are opting into those flat pen builds, he'll be very, very hard to deal with. So Sylvanas S tier. Don't care to talk about this character. She's still OP. Nerf her, please, high res. And then last but not least, Fafnir. We're tossing him into S. Very safe, can get through the laning phase. Just like Bacchus, he has a ton of relics he can buy. You can go Frenzy to go to objectives. You can go Horrific to kill in team fights. You can go Med just for a little extra safety. You can go Shell to peel. There is so many options. Sprint to chase people down and kill in the laning phase because he's got enough CC. I think Faf is going to have a very good year also, and I can see him being towards the top for most of the year. So there it is, my little predictions tier list for Season 9. Without any more changes, this is what I would predict it to be, and my way too early tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and remember to check out the gamer subs. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. See ya.